going on, guys? Welcome back to the Good Success Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Culler, and today we are Facebook Live again with, of course, Tom Olson, president of Good Success. What's up, Tom?
What's up?
And we've missed you.
I know.
I know.
My wife talked me into staying away for a while, which I think all my employees appreciated.
We're okay with it. We got a lot done, but Tom is back, so we're glad to have him back. And then today we actually have Justin Smits with us, and we're going to have him introduce himself briefly here, but I know that you guys have had a long-lasting relationship for a while. I know him from coming from our mastermind, our very first mastermind last year, and that was awesome to have you and your partner Adrian Shabbat with us in that. And so Justin's actually local, right in our backyard. Yep. Your office is in Highland, you said?
Yeah.
So Highland, Indiana, which is right down the road from us. And so we do a lot of business with him and like to interact with him. So we're going to come back around and have him introduce himself here briefly. But before we do that, we're going to talk about a few things. So we do have our Good Success Community Go-Giver event coming up, which I'm going to have you talk about here in just a second. But you guys, we have Kevin on the links right now, so communitygogiver.com. Tickets are going to sell out. We only have like a grand total of 80 seats available, so it will sell out at 80. We won't take any more people. We're already selling lots of tickets. We're getting to that point where it's it's go time. So if you've been procrastinating and putting off buying your ticket, go buy it now. It's going to be linked below, so you guys can make sure you join that. So Tom, let's talk about the Community Go-Giver event a little bit. Tell us what people can expect when they come.
So for me, I've gone around the country. I've been to masterminds. I really believe in masterminds, so we created a mastermind. I've also been to these kind of events, not the super large events, not the thousands and thousands of people, and not the really even smaller events where there's only 30 or 40 people, but these like mid-size, like 50 to 100 type events. And I've gotten a ton of value out of events like this. And some of the people that I've gotten a lot of value from are going to actually be speaking in our event. So Jim Ingersoll's event every year in Richmond, Virginia is amazing. To me, I think it's just 3 days of really good people there and really good content and really good education. It's not like a sales pitch, and it's not like you're just not just going there to do that. Plus, there's networking every single night in those types of events. Walter Wolford's also going to be here on Friday and speaking to us half the day on Friday. And if anybody who knows Walter Wolford or the Financial Friends Network, he's doing a cruise in next year again, and I think that's almost sold out. So if you guys want to do
that's going to be fun.
That's going to be awesome. So I'm super excited about that as well. But both those guys are going to be here at this event as well. But to me, I've seen a lot of value in those type of events. And for me, I'm trying to make it so I'm very unselfish about it. I'm trying to bring my national network in to view my local, like our community and what we're doing, but also like the local network. So guys like Justin, I think would be amazing to come to those events and see like there's going to be a bunch of my lenders there, a bunch of my turnkey buyers there. Like I'm purposely putting them both in the room together, not to like say how awesome we are, but like to say this is what you guys can do together. Like Justin's got houses that he can sell to turnkey buyers, and I want to connect my local network with the national network and give you guys the opportunity to not just do business with us locally, which I really believe in this area and flipping Gary, but also for other people that are in the area. So that's really what I'm excited about. Tuesday night kicks it off. So Tuesday night, July 24th, we're going to have a networking event at Innsbrook Country Club. I think it's 7601 Taft Street.
Something like that.
That's where you're going to want to start off, but it's going to be amazing. Every single night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, we'll have a networking event. We're going to go look at houses every single day. We're going to go look at one house every day at the end of the day to just kind of see what each type of house looks like. Fix and flip first day, turnkey second day, low income housing third day.
And I'm excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's coming up here in just a couple weeks, so make sure you guys go sign up, communitygogiver.com. Again, Kevin's on the link, so he's going to link that below. Make sure you check that out. And then next is our mastermind. So our Good Success Mastermind is the next event is August 9, 10, and 11. And that is actually in our backyard, also at Innsbrook.
Country Club.
So that's awesome. We're very excited about that, and we know that the rest of the membership is actually excited about that because they're going to be able to see where we're actually local to. Typically we have these up in Chicago, but we're actually going to be having this right at the Innsbrook Country Club in Maryville, Indiana. So you guys have to apply to that. We don't let just anybody in. We actually do vet, yes, volume that you're doing, but also the character, like if you're a giver and what you're willing to share with other people. So go to goodsuccess.com/mastermind to apply there, and you'll be talking to Jared Stokemeister to actually see if you're a good fit for the room. And that mastermind is growing very big. We're very excited about where it's at and what people we've accumulated into the actual membership. So make sure you guys go check that out. goodsuccess.com/mastermind. Again, Kevin's going to have that link below. So without further ado, Justin Smits, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good.
How was your trip over here? You said you got caught by a train.
Yeah, it took about 25 minutes to go 2 miles.
Oh boy,
That's Indiana. That's Northwest Indiana for you, though.
Lots of trains.
Yeah, exactly. So for the people that are watching us, first of all, if you are joining us Facebook Live, we appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys are giving big thumbs up. Leave comments below for Justin, for Tom, for me, and then also make sure you're sharing this around. So I know Tom's doing that right now. But also, Kevin is going to have your websites linked below as you actually mentioned them.
Yeah.
And so you guys make sure you check those out. So for the people that don't know who you are, that maybe they're watching our podcast because they know us, but they don't know you, then can you do us a brief introduction of who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing that?
Absolutely. So I'm Justin Smits, and I am in Tom's Market, have been most of my life. Grew up in Illinois, and then moved to Indiana as I got
did you get Illinois?
Yeah, I was just about to ask that. You got Illinois.
Yeah, the taxes are very painful out there.
Yeah.
I spent about 15 years as an auto mechanic, and started investing in 2011, and kind of got my feet wet with tax sale investing, and had a partner with that. Did that for a few years while I was still working as a mechanic, and in 2015 had a hand injury and just really hated my job. I mean, I made really good money. It was a 6-figure job for me, which is different than a lot of people that they would love that, but I just wanted the freedom. And so I took my chances with full-time investing and kind of changed the model of what I did into more wholesaling, and that's where we're at today.
Awesome. So you got Invest NWI and
Yep.
then Region Home Buyers.
Correct.
So do us a favor and kind of introduce who they are, and then I actually mention the websites that you have for those. So let's talk about Invest NWI first. So what is that all about? What do you guys do with that?
So when I joined Adrian, who's my current partner, in 2016, he owned Region Home Buyers, and so one of our goals was to separate what we did with buying properties, and then the back end where we wholesale them and work with our cash buyers. So we created Invest NWI as more of a brand than anything, to sell these properties, to connect with our cash buyers, and just really to separate the two brands so that people weren't seeing us buy a house one day and put it for sale the next. It kind of changed into doing our current meetup group, and a little bit of education stuff along the way, but that's why Invest NWI was started. It's literally just a brand.
Gotcha. And we'll get into the meetup group here in just a second. I'll have you talk about that. But so just to be clear with Invest NWI, so you got your cash buyers. That's kind of your, like you said, your brand for the selling and the exit strategies of the properties.
Yep.
What exactly do you guys do? Do you do fix and flips, just wholesales? Do you guys do buy and holds or turnkeys, or what exactly do you guys do deal wise?
That's a great question. So in the past, I've done more rehabbing. And I don't enjoy it. I don't get any satisfaction out of seeing the house done. I think it's cool to see what my buyers do with it, but I don't particularly enjoy any part of it. So primarily we wholesale. We did 78 deals last year. Probably 95% of them were wholesale. There was a few rehabs in there. Those were probably my worst deals. I'm better off selling them.
I was just about to ask, is that because the margin was good? But maybe that answered my question.
Yeah, when you try to do something that's kind of out of your core focus and what you're really good at, you just tend not to do it very well. So this year we're really focusing on just wholesaling, providing service for sellers to dispose of their properties, and giving opportunities for our cash buyers to get properties that they can hold or rehab or whatever they do with them.
Well, awesome. That's good to hear. So then tell us a little bit about Region Home Buyers. So I know that you said Adrian had that going already before you actually partner up with him. But maybe give a little bit of a background about how you guys actually utilize that for the for sale by owner market.
Sure. So Region Home Buyers is our buying end, and actually my other company had a different brand name, and Adrian already had Region Home Buyers, Region being the region.
Which, by the way, you guys do a very fantastic job of getting the name out there.
Thanks.
It's very good.
Thanks. That's kind of what we focused on. We've focused a lot of our business on local branding, that we are the local company to go to sell your house. Most of our, at least in the past, most of everything has come from direct mail, sending mail to sellers. As time goes on, more people are not responding so well to mail. They're using the internet, and we get a lot of referral business. But we've really spent a lot of time building out that brand with reviews and the Better Business Bureau and all those things. So when people research us and they see kind of who to sell the property to, we're everywhere.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what we want to be. We want to be everywhere.
Absolutely, awesome. So then tell us a little bit. You skimmed over the meetup group that you guys have.
Yeah.
So I know that we're a part of that, and Tom goes to that every third Monday of the month. Is that
Correct.
right? Okay,
Yep.
got it. And then I know Jared Stotemeister. He's the salesman for Good Success, but he's also the head of the buy and sell for Olsen Group. Goes to that, and then we have a couple other people in our company. So tell us a little bit about that for people that are watching that are maybe in the local market for us, that possibly your meetup group is something to go to. So tell us about that and what people can expect from it.
Okay. So the group was really formed out of a challenge from a mastermind group that we were a part of. And they just said, look, go out, start a meetup group. Don't try to, be super fancy or worry about every little detail. Just start it, and people will come and grow your network and provide value for people. And so that was a challenge for us about a year and a half ago. So we started it. It's been probably about a year now, I think. And we consistently get about 70 to 75 people coming.
That's awesome.
And that's all levels. I mean, it's people that are just kind of getting their feet wet and they're not really sure if investing is right for them, all the way up to, people like Tom's level and, my level, where you're doing a lot of deals. You're looking for more. You're, looking maybe to sell your properties or whatever, or lend money, whatever it is. And so we have a monthly meeting where we try to just give education almost 100% of the time and not sell them anything. And it's been a great place to meet new people, whether it's buyers or people, that are looking to borrow money, and just really, it's a time to really grow your network and learn some things along the way too. I mean, I think, you guys have good success, so you're always learning constantly. So it's been really good.
They've done a really good job about like flipping the whole RIA circuit upside down. Like the RIA circuit, like if you've been to RIAs, you're going to go there. You're going to have a little education probably, and then somebody's going to pitch you to go buy a course or something. And it's just like that's just how they have existed over the years. And what most of the RIAs now that are actually being successful, they have this type of model where they're really more about education. It's about the network. It's about the community. It's about like everybody here is all a competitor, but everybody here is also can be a connector to each other and help each other along the way, which is really like something I've always liked about Justin himself and Adrian. But Justin's always like, he's never thought like somebody's my competitor. He's thought like he might be my competitor, but at the same time, like I know that I want to stay connected to that person, and I know that we can work together. Yeah. And working together, like two strong people working together, is always going to beat out like the one guy that's afraid that everybody's going to beat them out.
Well, I guess that's kind of like what my question would be, is that like you guys obviously knew if you're starting a local meetup group and it's not like the actual RIAs that other people have, that's a meetup group for Invest NWI. You guys know that you're gonna have competition that's coming, or people that are in the local market.
Correct.
Was that a scare for you guys at all? And
yeah,
because I know there's people out there that are maybe listening and they want to go to a meetup, or they maybe want to start a meetup in their market. So.
Sure. It was definitely a concern. Just like anybody, it's easy to have a scarcity mindset and not want to give back, and be very fearful that somebody's going to come behind you and take everything and run with it. But quite honestly, it was exactly the opposite. It had more benefits than anything, and we've gotten a ton out of it. And it really doesn't make any money. We don't have anything to sell you. And I think that's why people have kind of really they're wanting to take a part in it, because if they go to another RIA group, they maybe get 5 minutes of content in the next hour of sales.
Gotcha.
And
so That's amazing. You guys are heavily focused on the education, which sounds like it's definitely something that sticks better than people going to RIA and getting sold to the entire time.
Yeah, and I mean, our goal is to connect people. I mean, of all different types. You know, we want to see people in our group, you know, lending money to each other, or selling deals to each other. You know, I was just talking to Tom about, you know, our last event. We did a Shark Tank event, kind of different. You know, Tom was on the board, and you know, it looks like maybe you guys are going to get a deal out of it from something that was presented that night. So our goal is to really connect people and, you know, help everybody move forward in their business.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome because, like, one of the things that we push is be a conduit, not a bucket.
Right.
It's all about, like, you're the person that really can help the person that you're getting from, and you can also help the person that you're giving to. And it's all about how you position yourself.
Gotcha.
So I love that about Justin.
So you said you had a Shark Tank event. So is Tom Mark Cuban of the group, or
you are dead to me?
So
he was well
more like Barbara, maybe.
I was well behaved.
I behaved that night.
Okay. All right. So you obviously deal a lot with these people that are in your network for the Invest NWI.
Yep.
And you talked when we were emailing back and forth. You had said that wholesaling was definitely something that you guys. So obviously, you guys are heavily on the wholesaling end of deals. That's like your primary product. So what? Maybe it's not just with the people that are in the group that you guys had, the meetup group, but maybe it's just anybody else that you've met in general. What's one of the biggest pitfalls that you've ever seen with real estate investors? That maybe it's a common pitfall, or maybe it's just a one-time thing that you're like, oh, you probably never should do that again. When it comes to somebody that's actually wholesaling or doing those types of deals.
With wholesaling? Yeah. I mean, I think when it comes to wholesaling, and this is something that we built our business on, is integrity. You know, if you're going to wholesale properties, just don't have just your interest in the money that you're going to make in the deal the most important thing. You know, you have a seller involved that, you know, maybe having a financial stake in this, or they're going to lose something if you don't come through. So make sure you're actually providing value for them. And then on the other end too, make sure that your buyers are getting what they need. And, you know, you see a lot of wholesalers that aren't, you know, they're marketing properties without contracts and, you know, some different things. And so wholesaling really gets a bad name. But there is a ton of value in it. And I think that wholesalers provide a very good service, and just, you got to do it with integrity.
Right, absolutely.
It was funny, like when I was thinking about this morning, having this interview with Justin, I have no idea why this came across my mind, but I just thought to myself, it's amazing how many people lie out there. Like literally, they just lie. Like it's just, and there's been other things in my life that have happened recently that, like, I'm like, it's just amazing how many people will say anything to anybody to get what they want. And that's so true. I mean, and so the way we look at that is, like, to me, I want to be a good steward of that. So like that buyer, I feel like the influence I have with that buyer is way more important to me than whatever check I'm going to make from that person. And it was funny, we actually were talking about a couple deals before we just came into this group about people that didn't necessarily have integrity, you know, and they weren't thinking about that down the road, what's going to happen. And I think that that's so true. It's just... cannot be understated.
Absolutely. And that comes with trust factor too, and building the relationship.
Sure.
So,
but it will be built if you
you treat people right.
If you just tell the truth and you and you have your buyer's best interest at heart. I mean,
I heard an amazing quote the other day: "Love people, use things, because the opposite never works." And that's so true. That's like exactly what we're talking about, because we know I used to work for a wholesaler. My very first job that I had in real estate, in the real estate industry about 5 years ago, was for a local wholesaler. I'm not going to say his name because you knew. I'll tell you after the interview. You'll know who it is. But it's exactly what we're talking about now. And it's very, very apparent that they just don't have good relationships with people. So ultimately, and I'm sure that when you're doing wholesale deals, a lot of your buyers are maybe repeat buyers, or you have a buyer's list that you, right? So, but these guys don't have a buyer's list because they don't make relationships with people, because they use people all the time.
Yeah,
and
so it's so important.
It's extremely
and that doesn't
important.
mean that you can't sell it for whatever somebody's willing to pay. I mean, that is what it is. But just don't stretch the truth. Don't tell people.
Use people.
Like the biggest complaint I hear from even legitimate wholesalers or people that do wholesale is like, they told me the repairs were going to be like 50 and they end up being like 70. Or they told me the repairs were going to be like 10 and they were like 50. Or they told me the ARV was 150 and it was 120. You know, like, know your stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a question for you, because this is something that somebody's been asking me, and I'm not really good at helping wholesalers get off the ground. Like, the best way I can help people get off the ground is tell them what my criteria is. Kind of like when you got started. Like, you came to me, and like we talked, and you were like, what would you buy? And you went out and kind of tried to find that for me, and then you kind of like, figured this whole thing out because you went to the buy. Like, that's the only way I know how to train somebody.
Yeah.
But what would you say, like, if somebody's trying to do their first deal? Like, I keep getting this question for some reason. Like, if you're trying to do your first deal, what would you recommend that they do?
I mean, if you've never done a deal before,
like, how does somebody get their first deal?
I think getting a deal and getting a contract is really the easy part. It's what you do with it after that can be difficult. And so this kind of parlays into, some of the questions I know we're going to hit, but I think that do a deal with somebody that's already doing it. I just finished up a private lending deal yesterday, and the guy was like, I don't care that I gave you 50% of the profit, because I would have never got through it basically on my own. So, find somebody that is an expert, a mentor, whatever you want to call it, and then you work the deal with them, whether that's, you, me, somebody else, and you've done thousands of deals, so you know what it needs to be at, where you need to sell it at, how to get through the title work. I think that too many people try to go it alone.
So what you're saying is, I do know how to help people.
That's good news.
Yeah. No, seriously, like, I've always told people, like, I'm not good at getting people from the 0 line to the 5-yard line. I'm better at helping people get from the 5-yard line to, like, the 50, and the 50, I'm better at that. But really, like, I think that's true. Like, even if you have to go work for somebody for free.
Yeah.
Like, go figure that out, or work with somebody hand in hand, and, like, just, what do they want? What is their criteria? You're going to learn what maybe that buyer is going to buy a little lower than what you might be able to sell it for at some point.
Sure, absolutely.
But, like, you're going to know how to vet a deal by that person telling you what their criteria is. That's good.
Absolutely.
We've touched a lot on relationships and the importance of building relationships and having a network.
Yeah.
Almost every person that I have on this interview always mentions the fact that their network is what's provided so much opportunity for them and what is the most valuable thing to them. So I assume that, and I'm just assuming, but I'm going to let you answer this question, that with your meetup group, like, how you guys were able to scale that to 70 members in like a year and a half, you said?
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. I mean, I don't know of very many meetup groups that are not like actual national RIA groups that have been able to do that. So how were you guys able to like scale up that meetup group that quickly? Was it just from the network that you guys know?
Too, because I've been there when there's like 100 people.
I really can't take much credit for that, because my partner Adrian does the majority of the work. But people were...
Did you hear that, Adrian?
Yeah. I mean, that's... I'm giving credit where it's due.
I love Adrian on here soon, so he can stick up for himself.
I really do very little with the group, so I'm just going to speak from what I guess I perceive. But I think that people had a need. They wanted to meet other investors, and there is other groups in the area, and they just wanted to change. They weren't getting what they needed, so I just provided something that there was a need for. And people showed up. I mean, I don't have anything to sell, so they're, when you're not selling people anything, they're attracted to that. Yeah. So, and they're building relationships and doing deals.
Right.
The last thing you want to do is go to somewhere, and you go to this event and you're like, man, this is awesome, and then the next day is just like the previous 364 days. Nothing changes. You want to move forward. So that's what we've kind of done, and we facilitated people doing things.
That's awesome. So if you guys are interested in the actual meetup group, what's the website?
Currently, if you go to our selling page, which is investnwi.com, there is a tab to go to the group. Okay. We actually have our developer working on our new page, but it's not up yet. It should be hopefully the next 30 days or so. That'll be investnwigroup.com.
Gotcha.
That'll be a page only for the group.
Gotcha. And you guys do have a private Facebook group, right?
Yes.
So if you're a local investor and you're interested in being in that group, I think they have a couple of questions, maybe quantify, make sure that you're...
Yeah, it's pretty basic. We just want to make sure that you're not a robot or something, or...
So if you're interested in that, I would check them out on Facebook too, because I think the Facebook group is pretty good.
Yeah, we'll have all that linked below. Kevin's going to link it below for you guys right now, so you can check that out. Not right now because you're on the Facebook live stream or you're listening to the podcast. So check that out afterwards. So one of the things that when we were emailing back and forth, you said that you are very knowledgeable and you like to talk about is tax liens. Maybe you don't like talking about it, but you're knowledgeable about it.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that likes talking about tax liens, but maybe there's different. Who?
Doug, our attorney.
Oh, okay. Oh, Doug does, yeah. So what are some things about tax liens that a typical investor may not know about? So something that maybe you've discovered or a loophole or something like that.
So tax liens have changed, at least here in Indiana, in the last few years. It's a lot more difficult. There's a lot more competition, and you need to make sure you do your due diligence.
So first of all, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Before we get into that, can you kind of explain what tax liens are for those of the people listening and aren't sure about that?
Yeah. So in Indiana, if you don't pay your property taxes for a period of about 18 months, they are going to sell a lien on your property for those taxes to an investor. And if you don't pay those within a certain period of time after that, you're going to lose your property. And so tax liens are a good way for the county to force people to kind of pay their taxes. Force is loose because they're paying interest and a lot of other things. It's painful. And then investors can also get a return, so that may be interest based. There's some different things. It depends. And there's a couple tax sales a year, and if the property doesn't redeem, you get a property, and that might be for $500.
Gotcha.
There was one I think it was in Highland. The guy bought it for about $3,400 a few years ago, and the Army Corps of Engineers needed it for a flooding project, and they ended up having to buy it from him for about $345,000.
Wow!
So a completely worthless piece of property turned into a $340,000 return.
It's a nice payday.
Yeah, there's some cool things in there. People make some good money on some interesting things. So it's a cool but dangerous way to invest.
Right. Okay. So then a few things that a typical investor may not know about. So that's a few things, and explains definitely what tax liens are. But what are some other loopholes or tips and tricks about that?
So I see a lot of people at the auction bidding on a piece of property based on the address. When tax liens are sold, they base it on a parcel ID. So what you'll see is somebody very excited to get what they think is a property, a house, for $500. What they don't realize is they bought a sliver of a piece of a lot or a retention pond or something like that. And those things can be avoided with some proper due diligence, looking at survey maps and things. But that's one of the biggest things. I see people lose a lot of money just purchasing what they think is a house but isn't.
So how do you do your due diligence on that? Because when you go to these tax liens, I'm not 100% familiar with these. When you go to these tax liens, do you know ahead of time what parcels are going to be available?
Yeah, so they give you a list, and the list is by parcel. It has an address as well.
So you don't have an excuse to not go do your due diligence on this?
No.
It's pretty much what we're saying. That's what we're getting to.
You really don't. Now, that being said...
There are no excuses.
That being said, if you're bidding on a lot of properties and you're running through, we would bid on 300 to 400 in the course of a few days. So things are moving quickly, you're not paying attention, you can inadvertently buy something wrong. I bought half a house one time.
Oh, wow.
Half was on one parcel and half was on the other.
That's fun.
And I ended up having to sell it to the guy who owned the other half. So mistakes can happen, but most of the time it's just because, just like with most deals, people haven't done their due diligence. So,
Gotcha.
This last tax sale, we were looking at parcels, and we found that there was a lot that was in the middle of a street. I mean, it was just the little circle of it was a little patch of land. That was the lot that was being sold, and it was probably supposed to not be sold. The city was probably supposed to keep
maybe
it.
the Army Corps of Engineers needs it.
Who knows?
Maybe put a turnabout there or something.
You know what I was thinking? I was thinking just buy it, and then I could put all my bandit signs there. it was like the center. It was like the center of a turnabout. It would be perfect, It was
wow.
And then if they come and take your sign, this is my land, sir. You can't take my bandit signs down.
We should have done that in the world. So private lending. Let's talk a little bit about private lending.
Yeah.
I know that you talk about with your meetup group that you do have lenders that come there.
Yeah.
Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, myself included.
Okay, awesome.
I just did a deal from a guy from that last meetup group lending as well.
So then, what's the best way to find private lending? Obviously, it's
go to his meetup group.
Yeah.
It's obviously your network, right? Because you got to find the people.
Yeah.
But actual like ways to go out and find those people besides going to the that's an obvious one. It's going to the actual meetup group. But other ways of finding private money and then actually like utilizing that.
You know, and I still use private money myself, and I loan private money too. I don't really look for it. When you have a deal and you're around other investors, you're gonna find people that are willing to loan money. Now, if you don't have a real big network, you know, maybe you got a grandma, a brother, a sister that believes in you, and it will be willing to loan you that money. You know, I see a lot of people do that. I did that myself. My previous partner, we did a lot of private lending stuff with his family. They believed in us, and so if you don't have a track record to go with, then family or friends may be a good place to find money because again they believe in you, and again like Tom said, if you come to my group and you have a deal, you got to ask for it. Sometimes you just got to ask, and if you have a deal, the lender's going to give you the money. But I think the biggest thing that I look for is somebody that has a plan. When somebody presents me a deal that they want money for, if they don't have a plan, it's just, hey, I got this house, I think I'm going to buy it for this. I think it's going to cost this much to rehab. I'm pretty sure we'll sell it for this, and if not, we'll rent it. Do you want to give me $150,000? Like, I just delete the email. So just have a plan. Just make sure that you're being a good steward with your investors' money. What's going to happen if it goes south? What's your plan then? Because this may be somebody's entire life savings. It's not a few bucks.
Don't take their
It's not lunch money.
Right. Well, what you said.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
One of my rules is never take somebody's last $50,000 ever. Like, never do that.
That's a good rule.
But no, I think that's great. I've always said like two things. Number one, if you want to go and get private money, I think the number one thing that will help you believe in it better yourself is for you to be a private lender. So things probably got a lot easier for you to get private money when you decided to become a private lender. And why? Because now he understands like how good of a deal it is for somebody to offer them 12% interest or whatever the case is, or whatever you're offering. So that's the number one tip I'll give. The number two one I would just say is present it in a proper way that the person that wants to loan you the money is going to want to see it in. So like for us, we actually do a performa for all of our lenders, and it's a different performa for a longer term loan and a shorter term loan. And then that's kind of like what you said, have a plan of what you're going to do with it. So it's pretty much the same thing. But
right, absolutely. Awesome. So yeah, you talked about your end of where you're an actual lender. Yeah. But then also you said that these are things not to do. Yeah. Because I'll delete the email, because I've had people on the podcast before that are lenders as well, and they've said the exact same thing. And he said getting a pro forma together and just doing your upfront work on that. When it comes down to that, what do you like? Maybe not super nitty gritty details, but what do you want to see on the pro forma when somebody sends that to you asking for you to lend on a deal?
I think part of that's going to be determined by the person sending it to me. If somebody sends me a deal that's done 1,000 deals like Tom, I don't really have to think much through it. If it's somebody who's newer and they're sending me a rehab house, I want to see like a contractor estimate. I want to see where they came up with the numbers. Not just, hey, it's going to cost $50,000 to rehab. I want to know how much equity they have. I want to see the comps. I want to see, their insurance policy. What are we covered for? What is worst case? What are the what ifs? I just want to see that they have a plan, that they've thought through where this is going to end up. And I just don't loan on rehab properties. We do transactional funding and some different things. So again, the biggest thing is just somebody who's prepared, because somebody with a plan usually wins. Somebody who wins.
And sometimes it's not about plan A; it's about making sure they even have a plan B. Well, what if that doesn't work out? What's going to happen next?
Yeah, I hate that.
So let's stick on that then. So somebody that maybe gave you a deal that said, "Hey, I have an opportunity for you."
Yeah.
So you actually go through with it. You actually lend on the deal. Yeah. And something goes south. What do you expect from that person to do, or what have you been in that situation where your deal went south with a lender that was doing a deal?
I haven't had a deal go south on something.
Okay. So what do you expect?
Let me take that back. I did have a deal. I bought a house, and it didn't really go south. It just didn't sell fast. It was a lake house, and it took a long time. And we had a deal fall through, and it went south in the sense that it didn't happen as fast as I had kind of promised.
So things didn't happen that were expected to happen.
Yes. Now, at the end of the day, the property sold. The lender got all his money back. Everything was great. I think we even made a few dollars, not much. The lender made majority of the money.
But so what did you do in that situation with that lender?
Communicated. Just communicated. I said, look, I know you're patient and you're probably not frustrated, but I am. And this is what we're doing to resolve it. And, just communicated. That's probably the worst I've had, in the sense that it just went south. And it just didn't sell quick.
Right.
Bought a lakefront property and tried to sell it in December.
Gotcha.
And maybe that's a lesson to learn of try to under promise as well with
Absolutely.
your lender. For us, I never borrow money myself unless that lender's willing to at least give me a year. And I don't expect it to take a year.
Because it may.
If it takes a year,
yeah.
then I'm probably not going to make as much money as I want to make
Sure.
on the deal. But most of our deals are honestly 4 to 8 months. That's the average deal that we do. But I want to at least set that expectation up where it's longer than what I really need.
And you over deliver.
And when I see guys that send me deals, I would need money for 3 months. I'm like, okay, well, let's rethink this. Maybe we should start with 6 months, and maybe there's an extra fee after 6 months. But 3 months is a really hard.
Even if you're really good, unless it's transactional and you're just
If it's just a transactional and they already have a buyer lined up, then it's a different story.
Right. So obviously you love lending, and it's something that you enjoy doing.
I'd be the bank. I'd love to be the bank all day.
So maybe somebody, yeah, exactly. Well, somebody out there that maybe has a few $1,000s, what would you tell them that? Obviously you love it.
Yeah.
But why do you love private lending so much?
Because I give people money and they pay me.
Come on, Josh, your little soldiers go out.
I mean, we know this, but maybe not everybody knows this. So maybe explain what happens in the actual process of lending on a deal.
For me, it's kind of like having a rental without tenants, I suppose. I'm going to give somebody money and, 3, 6, 12 months from now, I'm going to get my return. I know that it's secured by some sort of asset almost all the time. But I don't have any toilets to fix. I don't really have to think a whole lot about it. It's kind of effortless once I loan the money. It just doesn't require a lot of work for me. I mean,
yep, absolutely. So we talked a lot
Josh
about
the best seat at the real estate table.
I was trying to think of what that quote was. Yeah.
Best seat at the real estate
and that's
table.
because my performa, for instance, when I send it out, the very bottom, the very bottom is normally the clincher to get somebody to do something.
Yeah.
I always show them how much time they're going to have into this and how much money they're going to make per hour.
That's good.
Yeah, that's really good.
How do you calculate that?
Because how much time does it take you to do a loan?
I mean, typically, even if it's somebody who's inexperienced and I'm doing a lot more work, a few hours.
Okay, so 2 hours, and then if your average loan is $100,000 and you can get back 7 or 8, you're making thousands of dollars per hour. There's not very many occupations that you can make thousands of dollars per hour.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't have to convince me. I know this, but I know that there's people on here that maybe aren't taking advantage of lending and they have money out there that's sitting in a savings account.
Or you have people that they really love real estate. They just don't like the work of it. I have a lot of people like that loan me money. They're like, man, I love real estate. I want to be involved, but I don't really want to rehab. So
awesome. So let's dial it back to the actual real estate investing side. So we talked about region home buyers.
Yep.
You guys obviously do a lot of marketing with for sale by owners, and that's primarily what your demographic is for region home buyers. What has been the biggest success when it comes to actually acquiring for sale by owners? You talked about doing yellow letters, but that kind of doesn't work out that well anymore.
Yeah.
So what's something that you've seen an advantage of in the market when it comes to acquiring a house?
At least in our case, branding has really been important. When we go to a house, typically there's they have mail from 20 to 30 people. They probably have mail from Tom. They have mail from no mail. Okay,
no mail from
not yet.
No mail.
Not yet. They have mail from everybody, right? So they have 20 to 30 choices, and they have to make a decision on who they're going to trust. And everybody's prices are going to be a little bit different, sometimes dramatically different. So when they look at, okay, do I want to sell my house to whatever X person who's just somebody with a post office box return address, or region home buyers who's been around for years, they are everywhere. They're everywhere,
Yep.
and they're a legit company. Most people are going to choose a legit company. They want to know that they can trust the person that they're working with.
What's been your primary marketing strategy for, like, you don't have to give like your secret sauce away?
No,
I
mean, I tell people, like, literally, we don't do anything special with direct mail. I mean, we send all the same lists like everybody else. We send absentee, we send vacant, we send equity lists. I mean, you can go on YouTube and learn everything that I do.
Though, so mailing's still your best pull.
Yeah, is that your primary?
I mean, as time goes on, the internet is converting more. It takes a long time to rank, your website and referrals. They come with time, but direct mail, by far, it still converts. It's expensive, but it converts.
Gotcha. So what's maybe a strategy that you've learned that has worked well for direct mail besides the actual branding standpoint of it? Because when your branded postcard is between 20 other yellow letters that look exactly the same, it's obviously a strategy that's going to work, but maybe something else that you guys
so I don't really know when the last time we used a yellow letter. Most of our stuff is branded now. As far as strategies, if it's a list that requires a certain professionalism, just a better type of paper. Not a huge change, but if you're going to mail to people that inherit a property, you don't want to send them a cheesy yellow letter. They're just going to take it and be like, I just lost somebody. Somebody just died. Why'd you send me this letter? If you send it, a respectful letter that looks professional, people, they want to call. They want to see who you are because you've taken the time to, be professional. And so I guess that's not a huge thing, but sometimes even just a paper change, just that you put a little bit of time and effort into it.
Makes you stand out and look a little bit different than everybody else. We definitely value brands here. I mean, all of our companies here have very solid and awesome brands, so that's something that's not news to us. But I feel like a lot of investors are just trained to put that generic thing out there and look just like everybody else. So literally run with the crowd in the same direction.
I mean, kind of on that topic, like when I go and because the mail typically when I get there, their mail is all on the table, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody uses many of the same mail houses, yellowletters.com, all the different mail houses. So they go and there's 5 different pieces of mail and I see the names on them. So I know who they are. They're all my competition and it's all the same exact postcard.
Yeah.
And they all look the same. And then there's mine off to the side. Mm-hmm. And I doubt that they've even called all the other however many because they don't stand out.
Yours probably stood out to them and they're like, oh, well, the rest of these look super generic and just like marketing to me, and then this one actually looks different, so they care about what they're doing. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Love that. So we're going to wrap it up here with a couple other questions and get done with this. This has been an awesome interview. We appreciate you coming by.
Thanks,
you guys are Facebook Live right now. Make sure you give it a big thumbs up, leave comments below, and then make sure you're sharing it around. And if you are listening to the podcast, if you guys have not already, make sure you subscribe to us. We're on Google Play, iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. If you guys know Justin because he shared it later on and you guys have not met Good Success yet, then welcome to the Good Success Podcast. And again, make sure you guys subscribe to us. We got a lot of awesome interviews with people like Justin and some friends of the Good Success Network. So a couple other things here. So obviously you are all about growth, right? So you value growth very much because of just where your companies have gone. What has been one of the best resources for you? Maybe it's a book that you've read. Maybe it's an actual person that you have met that has helped you thrive in growth with your guys' business.
I mean, it's clear cut. It's only one thing, and it's been mastermind groups. We were hesitant to join one the first time. It's a lot of money. They cost anywhere between $15,000 and $50,000.
Ours is cheap. We should raise the price.
We're at the low end of what you said.
Yeah, I mean, they're all kind of settling around the 20 to 25 mark now. Yeah. But we joined Sean Terry's and Kent Clothier's mastermind group a few years back, and we got a ton out of it. And there was so many. We thought we knew a few things, but when you get into a room, some of these people, they're like, we had this one team, and they were like, yeah, we did like $25 million last year, and we bought a direct mail company, and we just can't figure this whole internet marketing thing out. And everybody looked around, and it's like, wow, it's amazing. Like, we think we got problems doing $2 million here, And so I can't stress the importance of being with like-minded people and being in a room with people that are better than you, and are where you want to be. because otherwise you're going to get to the same place eventually if you have enough drive, but it's going to take you a long time to get there. Mm-hmm. It's going to take a very long time.
Perfect.
And it's going to cost you more money probably anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you pay for education either way.
That's right.
And Sean's a solid guy. I love Sean. He's a really good guy. I've known him for years, and he's awesome.
Awesome stuff. So
that's the boardroom, right?
Yeah, it was a boardroom.
Awesome. Awesome. So the next thing I got here, it might be the same answer. If it's not, then awesome. Mm-hmm. If it is, then awesome as well. What is something that you know now that you wish you knew when you first got back into real estate investing? So let's wind the clocks back to, what was it, 2011
when I started.
Right? Okay. And so going all the way back to 2011, what do you know now that you wish you knew when you first got into real estate?
I thought about this, and I don't think it was a specific thing that I wish I knew. I think I wish I had found somebody sooner that was a mentor, somebody that knew the business, that I had spent a lot of time with, and spent more time on the education than trying to figure it out myself. I mean, I got to where I am now by doing a lot of hard work, and there's just so many things you learn along the way, but it's amazing what you learn from somebody going through a deal and all the knowledge, if they're willing to give it to you, that you can gain and just kind of soak it up and use it. And some of my best deals, I didn't really make a whole lot of money, but I did them with other people, and I just learned so much. And it's helped me grow a lot and think about things differently and look at deals differently, and how a buyer looks at things, a seller. And so I would say, invest in your education, and maybe that's a mentor, maybe it's not, and I guess that kind of comes back to the masterminds.
Right. Awesome. So you said you wish you found a mentor sooner, so you had a mentor. That accurate?
I guess in my sense that, my mentor is just kind of a group of people in my mastermind.
Gotcha. Okay.
The mastermind's almost like a group of mentors.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Board of advisors.
And on one of my, on my list of things that I kind of want and my goals is to find a mentor that, for us right now, we're looking at larger multifamily stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I want somebody who owns, 2,000 units or, 10,000 units or whatever. So, that's kind of what I'm looking for now, because I know I can buy 1,000 units, but what's it going to take and how long is it going to take me to get there, rather than just finding somebody who's an expert and just, even if I have to work for free, like Tom said, so that I can gain that knowledge and get where I want to be, and hopefully provide them with some value too.
Absolutely.
Get with me on that. I have a couple people I can give you.
Cool.
Things happen on the podcast.
There you
go. Look at that.
Check that off my list.
Exactly. And we've actually had Tim Knox on a few weeks ago, and he talked about having a business plan and how you want to strategize it. Like, don't just go guns blazing, strategize it, but don't put it off. He said he talked to somebody that had a business plan for 12 years or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like having a mentor is definitely strategizing before you get into the multifamily. Mm-hmm. That's definitely a way to do that. So awesome stuff. So good success obviously means something to us. Good success is, for us, it's a journey on the way to success and how you actually live your life. And we have an entire podcast that we did, episode 100, it's been months now, wow, that we did about what good success means to us. To you, I mean, you've known us for a little bit, ever since we've gotten started. What do you believe good success, that term, actually means to you?
Yeah, I mean, a couple years ago, I would tell you that good success is probably, having a certain car or making a certain amount of money, or, a lot of different things. A lot of the reasons people get into real estate, money. And I will say that making money was really the easy part. But building some long-term wealth, and then not forgetting that, you need to spend time with your family, not just work. I told myself for many years that I was doing it for my family, using work as an excuse for that. I told my wife that the other day. And so really now, good success for me is having income that comes in and having the freedom to take a day off and spend it with my family. And it's not necessarily the money part of it. Now, money may be a way to get there.
Right.
But for me, the success will come when I have a full team and I can kind of just oversee that, and that's what we're working towards. So
perfect. That's awesome. So last thing we got here, we gotta leave our audience with one thing. Maybe it's a piece of advice, maybe it's a quote or a thought or whatever it is, or a book to read. Gotta leave our audience with one thing. What would that be?
I would say that, whenever you're gonna do a deal, you're gonna sell a house, you're gonna buy a house, whatever, have integrity, because at the end of the day, people are gonna remember that. They're going to want to work with you. They're going to want to do deals with you, and you'll be around for a long time. I guess there's a quote that an attorney that was my tax law attorney for many years, and he said, pigs get fatter and hogs go to slaughter, right? So kind of a weird phrase, but I've kind of lived by that a little bit, and just. I may not always win. I may lose money on some things, but people always say that we've done the right thing and we came through, and win or lose, we were truthful with them and did it with integrity.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So integrity, make sure you guys have that. Justin, we appreciate you being on the podcast.
Thanks for being on here today.
If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how would they be able to do that?
They can use my cell phone number. I'll give that out on Facebook Live.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Here it is,
I'm ready. Here comes the calls and texts. That's 219-237-0415, and I'm happy to answer questions about wholesaling or anything like that. Or my email is justin@regionhomebuyers.com.
Awesome. And then we're actually going to have all of his websites linked below for you guys, and then also your social media handles. Kevin's going to link that below. So we appreciate you being on. We'll have Adrian on here at some point. It's just tough to get. We have a small studio here. It's tough to get another one person in here even, but it was great to have you, and we look forward to having you back soon.
Thanks.
So, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much if you were Facebook Live with us, thank you guys so much for watching. And make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, leave comments below, and then share it around. And if you guys missed our Facebook Live, we actually do go Facebook Live every single Friday at 12 noon Central Standard Time, so make sure you guys join us on that. We have awesome interviews with people like Justin, and we do have a podcast, so this obviously is going to be stripped in the audio and put into a podcast format. So if you guys did miss this Facebook Live or you don't want to watch the videos but you love podcasts, we do have one, the Good Success Podcast, so make sure you guys check that out. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Subscribe there. We have the Community Go-Giver event coming up, which we talked about at the beginning of the stream here. So you guys go check that out, communitygogiver.com. Sign up now because it is going to be too late very soon. And then we have our Good Success Mastermind coming up August 9 through 11. The third quarter mastermind is already here, and we're excited about the group we're having. It's going to be in our backyard at Innsbrook Country Club in Maryville, Indiana. So we're very excited about that. Make sure you guys check that out. goodsuccess.com/mastermind. So that's going to do it for today's episode, guys. Tom, you got anything else?
Remember to be a conduit, not a bucket.
Love it. That's awesome. So integrity, conduit. Boom. That's going to do it for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening in. And remember, whether you're looking to survive, thrive, or matter, our goal is to provide the tools to reach your vision. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.